Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel, wishing you a happy New Start to Saturday morning over here. And the topic of the day is it lights on or is it lights off? And there are actually several things to be following up on from yesterday's short-term time frame analysis that we can actually just jump right into right here, right now. So let's start it off with where we left off yesterday on the 4-hour time frame. We were looking at Bitcoin as likely to get a continuation move a little bit lower to the bottom side of the 80% range, historical range lows right here on the HPGR indicator. That has obviously happened as we did witness that move in the early morning hours, at least for myself in the early morning hours, towards 16,650 to 16,700 or so. Now the question is it bounce or not on the lights off line, which if you're new to this channel, you probably have no fucking idea what the hell I'm saying. I'll explain later, but for right now, I wanted to follow up on this right quick. So now that we are within this region, it is time to be looking for any sort of indications of short-term bounce. So with that said, there actually is a bit of a setup born upon the hourly time frame here, where the hourly witnessed many closures below the blue 50% range lows on the HPDR indicator. Once that happens, it's time to then cross-check for volatility declining close of a closure on the moving average, and obviously that started to happen within this region right here. I highlighted kind of around there on the green vertical bar. Anyways, now that we have that in play, that does initiate this setup over here, which we can then go see the back tested data for. And this is for the, no, this is for the wrong strategy. Let me go to the HPDR and let me just make sure that we're on the right time frame. Here we go, hourly time frame. Yes, indeed. With this particular setup, whenever we've seen this particular setup, there has been recorded about 36 out of 50 of the prior setups to this one have been winners. So that would give it a 72% hit rate. And with that said, then it initiates this line of stats over here, where on the average percentage gained for the win side would be close to 2.25, about 220. On the loss side would be about 242. So again, when we're talking about statistics, when we're talking about probabilities, we're not talking about certainty. So at the end of the day, there does need to be an invalidation condition for this one. It's very obviously going to be below about 16,600, or is it 16,000? Yeah, 16,600 or so. All right, cool. Or maybe not so cool. Anyways, it can give us an idea of what to expect as far as time transpired for this one. On average for the winning trades has taken about 10 hours from setup given, and on the losing trades almost double that, about 17.5 hours right here, as you can see. Also did a first standard deviation measurement for the win side. That would be the win side right here, loss side right here, obviously. And in this case, we can then go look at potential areas of interest if Bitcoin is going to play out this bouncy bounce. So again, the setup actually emerged over here. The invalidation would essentially be with an hourly closure below about 16. If we're using the hourly, it's going to be about 16,550. And in this case, let's just see kind of where we are at, as 1%, which would be the lower end of the first standard deviation, would put Bitcoin back around 17,000 bucks. On the upper end, on the average, we did see about 220, which would put Bitcoin back to 17,200. Very important number right there. We'll come back to that a little bit later. And then on the upper end, let me just double check. Yeah, it was 339, which I'm guessing would put Bitcoin closer to where? Closer to about 17,350 or so. So whenever I see one of these sort of setups emerge over the weekend, one, it does typically have a lower hit rate, to be fair. And also two, for the actual winning trades and the losing trades, actually, there is typically a lower average percentage gained or lost, actually. So I would be looking for this to be closer to the bottom side of the first standard deviation if it's gonna, if it's gonna play out in that fashion. So that's essentially the setup that I'm looking at right now. Yes, so now that we've gotten through that, I do want to go and, cross-check this with any other things that we could potentially find from other angles to see what corroborates the story. So coming into yesterday's analysis from CME, just regular ranges over here, we do see that, what do you know, Bitcoin's back at the lights out line, baby. And if you're wondering what the lights out line is, it's the line that you don't want to violate, because then the lights go fucking out. And what does that mean? It's a little bit of a play at the, I don't know, I just always would see like people would go on Twitter and or YouTube for that matter and draw like a line on the chart and be like, look, in like a very serious tone, like, look, this line right here, very important, very important line. You lose this line and it will be lights out and you won't be fucking laughing, bro. That's right. Lights will be fucking out. maybe not that last part, but in this case right here, yeah, 16,650 or so is going to be the magical number on CME. Of course, on spot price action, it's basically the same thing, maybe a little bit lower here, yeah, about 16,550 or so. Anyways, going back to CME chart, I did like the confluence with the 618 Fibonacci retracement coming in that region as well. And as you can see, CME obviously not trading over the weekend, but has essentially, dropped into that nice little zone. So we do have a few things confluential with each other, but it is going to be, fraught with peril here, because while there are, some, statistically speaking, does suggest we're probably more likely to try for a bounce of this region than not. The question is bounce is the same thing as reversal? Well, no, obviously fucking not. So on the other side, where would we turn the lights back on? Where do the lights go back on? Well, in this case, it would be back above about 17,300 on a 4-hour closing basis. No longer would I need to wait for 17,550 based off of yesterday's price action. 17,300 would now do it for me. So the lights on have now been, the lights on level has been moved down. It's been moved down as a bit of a consolation prize for Bitcoin Boolaws getting absolutely fucking shish kebabbed yesterday. Anyways, let's see. And then yes, of course, if we do see a break below the lights off line on a closing basis, then I would be looking for a move somewhere down around to low $16,000. We got the 786 coming in about 16,150 to 16,200 or so. Probably another attempt for a bounce in that region, and then very likely, that bounce fails. And personally speaking, I do think that if Bitcoin essentially fails the lights out, I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. If Bitcoin fails the lights out line, you can probably very likely expect a move somewhere down around 15.5 to 15.8 or 15.9, something like that. Very likely to trade back below $16,000 if that does indeed happen. Anyways, okay, now that we've gone through all of that, I do want to now go and reference the stochastic momentum on basically all time frames here. 2-day time frame, which closes not tonight but tomorrow night actually, is going to have a fresh cross to the downside, assuming that Bitcoin essentially fails to reclaim 17,650. So pressure down with extremely low levels of volatility. What does that mean? Kind of not the best setup for the Boolaws here, especially in the medium term. Daily time frame, nosediving similar to yesterday and the day prior, as long as Bitcoin's below $18,000 on a closing basis. By the way, this is all in spot right now. Obviously, CME is not trading over the weekend. 12-hour time frame showing downside pressure below 17,900. 6-hour time frame going to be showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 17,100. Do notice though that it's getting into kind of a critical zone here, and we are witnessing extremes on volatility. So a bit of a mean reversion play is probably in order over the weekend if I had to guess. 4-hour time frame is freshly crossing right now and will officially lead to upside momentum if Bitcoin can close above 16,600. Holy shit! My camera is turning the lights off. It must know. These goddamn AIs are taking over right now. Hourly time frame is probably going to be, actually it's up right now, as long as Bitcoin's above 16,650 or so. So, what does that kind of align with? Bitcoin probably trades a bit sideways here, maybe even re-attempts, yesterday's low, but probably tries for a bounce from this region over the weekend. The real question is, does Bitcoin turn the lights back on or not? Lights go back on, back above about 17,300. Lights will generally be off for the Boolaws as long as Bitcoin's below that very important line. But sorry, can't fucking help myself. But yes, I think that's kind of the crux or the heart of the analysis for today. There's one last thing that I'll probably leave you with. I wasn't planning on talking about it today, but we can just briefly touch in on it as the daily for Dixie is ready for a bounce, basically. We do see multiple drives of bullish divergence come off the daily low on the daily RSI, and the daily Joul's gonna probably get a pretty damn good upside signal relatively soon. And I would be looking for at least a corrective move back up towards the 105 3/4 region, maybe even more over time. I mean, very possible to get to 107 if things really get crazy. And of course, that would very likely put downside pressure on Bitcoin and most risk on assets. So, would that be enough to get Bitcoin back down to, the prior range lows, on the weekly, down in those mid 15s? Perhaps yes. But ultimately, it does not imply an actual break of it just yet. I still do lean towards the very strong likelihood that Bitcoin could retest the lows, but very likely still holds the lows and actually tries back up for, probably move towards 20 to 21,000 bucks, which I know sounds fucking crazy right now. But in January, February, something like that would kind of make sense. Of course, I do reserve the right to be wrong on that as well, as usual. Anyways, I think that's a good place to leave off on this particular video. I hope that this one serves you well. I hope that the lights remain on in your life. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.